Hi guys, welcome to the lecture on Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is sort of ethereal and abstract, and so sometimes it gets difficult if you're not in class to understand how Chapter 5 works about language. So the first thing and I apologize now because some of this stuff is going to seem like kindergarten, but it's important to get the basics down before we start adding to it. So let's start off with the fact that language is symbolic. What do I mean by that? Well, first of all, that we use symbols as the cornerstone, the building block of our language. For example, here's the kindergarten part. You've got this letter A. Okay. It's a symbol. We've drawn a little symbol that represents A. It represents a sound first. What sound does A make? Well, it can make the long A sound. It can make the short A sound, ah, or it can sound the little ah. Okay? So, that's a symbol in itself. It stands in place of a sound. Secondly, it could be the first thing in a list. So, if you were going to make an outline, your A, your B, your C. So, it could stand for the first thing. It could stand for an article. So A is an article. It means one of. So in that way, it's also symbolic. And finally, it could be something like someone's initial. So if your first name starts with an A, like an Andrew or an Anthony, then you could write your name A period last name. So that it stands for. So you've got these letters. Same thing with B, right? You could in text speak you say "be right back" or something like that. And so you've got these letters, and the letters are symbolic. Okay, what happens when you combine more than one symbol to form a word? Like that one, right? So you have a symbol to form a word. You've got symbol, 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 and it spells cat. Alright, so there's nothing about the C, the A, or the T in that particular combination that means feline. So when we're talking about language as symbolic, it's also pretty arbitrary because there's nothing about those letters. If you were to rearrange them, and then you had that, well, it's the same letters, the same symbols, but it doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. So there's nothing inherently feline about the letters C, A, and T in that order. Okay, so what else? It stands for the four-legged feline that, you know, probably kind of standoffish and eats all your food. I've got one over there, and she'll probably find her way in front of the camera at some point. All right, so it could C-A-T could stand for feline. What else could it stand for? Have you ever had a CAT scan? So it could stand for that. It's an acronym. Or it could be a short version. For example, it could be someone's nickname if their first name were Catherine. Or it could be the shortened version of the Caterpillar company, the ones that make big construction equipment, stuff like that. So, you've got letters. Each letter is a symbol. You combine those symbols to make words, which are symbols for some form of reality. And then you would combine word symbols. So like the cat ran, and I'm going to try very hard to write this backwards so that you can see it. Is that right? Yay! The cat ran. Okay. Those symbols in that order form a sentence. That sentence is made up of symbols, words that are made up of symbols, letters, and so language is all about symbols and rearranging them. Language also, like I said, is kind of arbitrary. There's nothing inherently feline about the word cat. There is nothing sturdy and helpful about the letters D-O-O-R that would spell door. So there's nothing about those letters that mean an entrance. So anyway, it's kind of arbitrary. The only exception to that rule is onomatopoeia, and you may have learned that a long time ago, but it's the words that are spelled like they sound like buzz. Okay? The other important thing to remember about language is that it's governed by rules, and there's several different kinds of rules that you'll want to remember. The first one is phonological rules. That governs how something is pronounced. So, if we were to look at this letter combination, okay, go back to kindergarten, first grade, and think about how you would pronounce TH. How would you pronounce TH? Well, most of us would say th, but we have these rules about when it doesn't say th. For example, if you've ever cooked with the spice thyme, or you've ever been to London and sailed down the Thames. Okay, so you've got these THs and it's got rules about how it's pronounced. So sometimes a C makes a K sound and sometimes a C makes a S sound. It's a phonological rule. All right, there's syntactic rules. Syntactic rules are rules about how you order words. For example, we already talked about the cat ran. Okay? That's an English rule. If we were somewhere else, who knows, we might say the ran cat, or cat ran the. Okay? So our syntactic rules have us sounding like proper Americans and not Yoda. That's syntactic rules. That governs the order of words. Semantic rules govern word choice. So right now I am sitting in a chair, and I'm not sitting on a buffalo. Okay? So semantics means that individual words have meaning. And it's kind of that language, these symbols, only get their meaning from people. We have to share the meaning before they're at all helpful in determining what we're talking about. For example, have you ever used the word love? And I love fried pickles. Love them. Fried pickles are fantastic. I also love my children. Okay, I have 2 of them. Children, not fried pickles. And so I love my children. I don't love fried pickles in the same way as I love children. Yeah? I wouldn't jump in front of a bus to save fried pickles. Well, I might. But not in the same way that I love my children. And if you've ever been in a relationship, you'll know that there comes a time where that L word starts to take on a new meaning. So you can see how there's different layers of meaning in with a word. There is 3 layers of meaning at least. Something called the semantic triangle. It was developed by I.A. Richards. And he said it works like this. And it's, if you're looking at your book, it's on page 148 in your book. I was going to give you a little better idea of it. Okay, so at the bottom triangle you've got home. It's the word, it's these symbols that you can use. Okay, you've got home. You've got on the other side, that's the symbol. Okay, the letters in that order are the symbol for the words. Then you have a referent and a reference. All right, the referent, it's the word's denotative meaning, and if you keep reading in your book, you'll learn that the denotative meaning is the dictionary definition of the word. So, the denotative meaning is like the house. See? Little house, little picture of a house. Okay? Denotative meaning. That's the referent. All right? So it's a place with 4 walls and a door on the front and a roof as a shelter. And then you have this idea of a reference, the last layer of meaning, reference. It's what you think of as home. Up there at the top are my 2 sad little stick figures. It's my family. It's where I live. It's where I relax. It's where I can read a good book. It's my home, my home. And so it's the connotative definition or the meaning of the word. All right, that's all I'm going to cover, I think, today in this lecture. And so I encourage you to look through the rest of the